All right. What's up, everyone? You guys are listening to the Brew Roots podcast. I am Matt, and joined with me is Erica and some guy Ryan. Do-do-do-do. Yeah, we're here in the lovely...
Ryan, make your sound.
Boo. Oh, it's a great sound.
It's a great sound.
We are in the lovely state of New Hampshire.
Yeah.
My favorite state, actually.
Really?
I love New Hampshire.
Wow.
Yeah, I cannot wait to move to New Hampshire.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a goal of mine.
That's cool. That's cool. I support that, honestly.
Yeah.
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 I like to do all the New Hampshire things.
All the New Hampshire things.
Don't ask me what that is. But
I'm not going to, but I will later. Cool.
Yeah, ask me.
Right.
Text me. Yeah, text
I will.
me so it can be written down. We've had a great day so far. The weather sucked, but
Yeah, it's kind of gross out.
yeah, if you are following along on our New Hampshire series, last month we did our Vermont series. Are we calling these series?
Why
No.
not?
Oh, okay, Ryan. Well, we're not calling them series.
they're just trips.
Shooting
They're
that
just
down
trips,
right
yeah.
away.
Just trips.
So we're in Manchester, New Hampshire, correct? Manchester?
You are.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
figured.
nice.
Where are we?
We're at Great North Aleworks.
Great North Aleworks.
Yeah.
I like their beer.
Yeah.
What I like specifically about the beer, and we were talking about this off air with Brian, was I can go to a friggin' Cumberland Farms and get your beer.
Yeah, you can
Like,
get it all over.
It's not a problem.
Accessible.
Very accessible.
And
yes.
my dream of living in New Hampshire is living in a town that has nothing other than like a gas station. You'd be there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's okay
Brilliant. It's brilliant.
it is.
Don't share that secret with anyone.
We'll edit this out, right?
Right.
It's already been
exactly.
edited.
Okay,
Yeah, it's already been edited.
Done.
Thank you, Ryan. You're so good at this.
Oh, it's staying in.
So why don't you introduce yourselves to our listeners?
Your
and,
roles at the brewery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So I'm Rob North, and next to me is
Lisa North.
Yeah.
right.
Cool.
Oh, so the name. Yeah, I
There you
get
go.
it now. I get the name now.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. We decided to start Great North 11 years ago, believe it or not, and finally got off the ground in a real way about 7 years ago. So
Okay.
we've been brewing beer just over 7 years.
What brewery number are you in New Hampshire?
When we opened, I think there was around 30 breweries
Okay.
on the beer trail.
And now there's
Okay.
in excess of 100.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Kind of seeing the scene grow.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely nuts.
Yep.
Yeah. And so were you homebrewing before that, or did you just jump in?
No, so
This is what I want to do.
yeah. So I'd been homebrewing pretty much like out of college, but actually doing more winemaking.
Okay.
Way back in the day, and
Yeah.
so the other part of Great North is the fact that Lisa and I are both from Canada.
Okay.
It's
Oh,
also
fun
known
facts.
as the-
That's why you guys are so
as
nice.
the Great White North. Yes, and that.
We say sorry a lot.
You do.
Oh, okay.
Do you say eh?
No.
No. Eh?
We've
A boot?
scrubbed that from
Yeah.
our vocabulary.
Good.
All right. All right. But you guys are super nice. I knew it. Canadians. Always so nice.
Either Canadian or Midwestern. So,
Yeah.
Right.
But
right.
Midwestern, you understand sarcasm. Midwestern.
No, I don't.
so
It's true.
That's not a sarcastic statement either. No joke.
So anyway, started getting into kind of homebrewing more on the wine side back in 95, 96 type of thing. But did a little bit of brewing then, but it was quite honestly never very good. You know, living in an apartment, dealing with, a can of liquid malt extract and
Oh,
spaghetti
yeah.
pot and,
Yeah.
Not a gas-fired stove.
No, definitely not a gas-fired stove and a carboy with, adding cold water to, bring it down the temp and all that
Sure.
stuff. And
No
didn't-
centrifuge.
no centrifuge, no forklift, no driving cooler, nothing like that.
It's a really shitty beer.
Well, no, it was. It really was. But it wasn't until so we got married in 2006 and bought a house in Manchester and moved and then suddenly I realized, oh my God, I've got a basement and a garage and a yard. I've got all this space and I can have a kegerator in the basement and started getting educated and really took to the hobby. Joined a homebrew club of which we're still members of Brew Free or Die.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Yep.
So and then just totally got into the hobby. I was brewing every other week at least. Studied it up and became a BJCP national level beer judge.
Nice.
And I guess in 2010, I was entering tons of competitions at the time. And in 2010, I entered the Sam Adams Patriot competition.
Yep.
And was lucky enough to win the whole thing.
So your drawing was on the side of a bottle.
Well, so the deal with that one was you're winning beer.
Yeah.
You got to brew it with the brewers of Sam Adams, and then it went on tap at Gillette Stadium for the upcoming Patriots.
Oh,
That's
so
really cool.
So,
Nice.
so I didn't get my name on a bottle, but I got to enjoy my own beer at Gillette Stadium,
yeah.
watching the Patriots.
You think Tom Brady drank it?
I don't think he drinks beer.
I saw him drink a chug of beer on like Jimmy Fallon or some stupid show like that.
It
was your beer.
Probably not during the season.
Who'd you end up brewing with over at Sam Adams?
Bob and Dean.
Bob and Dean.
Bob and Dean.
Cool.
Yeah. So
Very nice.
super cool. So yeah, that was 2010, and then Lisa and I were traveling out to the National Homebrewers Conference in 2011, which was in San Diego, and we're on vacation mode and feeling good and chatting, and we're like, man, why don't we, start a brewery? Like, how crazy would that be? Like instead of doing IT,
Pretending,
which was
kind
great,
of.
which was fine
Yeah.
to great to pay the bills, but
Yeah.
it wasn't really a way to fulfill a passion. So, but sometimes, as they say, the stars are aligned. Before I had a chance to get back and quit my job, I was told our company was being bought out.
Oh.
And so
All right, well,
serendipitous.
there you
the
go.
writing was kind of on the wall. And so eventually left corporate IT in March of 2012. And it took, about 3.5 years to get all the ducks in a row to find a bank who would get behind us and to find the right real estate and a business plan that the bank could get behind and et cetera, et cetera. So
Did the city of Manchester get the idea of a brewery?
City of Manchester were actually pretty good. If anything, they tend to be sticklers in terms of codes and whatnot,
Yeah.
which
Right.
you can't fault them for it.
Yeah.
But
Because
no,
we just hear countless times, we pitched this brewery to the town. And
Especially
they
back
just-
in 2012 or whatever, 2011, where it's like,
I don't get.
I think
yeah.
This isn't a bar, right?
Yeah.
it all depends on location. Like this is an industrial
yeah.
park,
Right.
So they're like, oh yeah, well you're gonna make something.
You're not in a neighborhood
Okay,
or
it makes
whatever.
sense. We're not in a neighborhood.
Yeah.
We're not next to a school although
We've interviewed a brewery who was next to a school.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Yeah, no. So,
Yeah.
it was a great spot for us to make beer. But unfortunately, we don't get a lot of foot traffic. Like if you don't know we're here,
Sure.
you're not going to find us.
Sure.
But I think there's a lot. Like if you look at, I think of like Allagash. Like you're not going to just be
Down there.
taking a stroll
Walking
and it's like
Yeah.
oh my god, it's Allagash. Unless you know to go there. And I can think of
Which everyone should go there and here.
They
Yeah.
should.
Yeah.
And here. Yes.
1,000%.
Yeah.
1,000%. So yeah, it's a great spot to make beer. We're happy to be here and doing our thing 7+ years.
So
Awesome.
early, we saw your original system, 20-barrel system. Not a lot of breweries these days are opening.
Or
with
in
a
general.
In general.
That's like a huge system to
Yeah.
start with.
Was that important?
Still have that 20-barrel system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You still use it all the time. Using it right now.
Yeah.
We were kind of now that being said, we've got a combination of 20, 40, and 80 barrel tanks.
Right.
So at the time we started with 120, 280s, 240s, and 380s, and I think it was a bit of a philosophy of it's like, well, we're planning for success. We're not planning for failure. We don't want to say buy a 5 or a 7 and put all the investment in it and have to outgrow it and pick up and move.
Yeah.
Instead,
Yeah.
we were very fortunate that we started with just under 10,000 square feet, but we're the end unit, and then the neighbor next to us decided to move, so we moved into their space. So we were able to grow that space and then add equipment. So so when we purchased our equipment in October of 2014, or at least that's when we put the deposit down. It was, quite honestly, a little bit more of the model of more regional breweries, and I had brewed in 2013 at Newburyport for the better part of the year there, and they were experiencing tons of growth then, and Yeah, so
Just made sense
at
to-
the time.
Yeah.
At the time, it made sense. Yeah, you also think about equipment. A lot of the cost of equipment is the labor to actually fabricate it. The steel, the actual size of it, doesn't really add it adds some, but not a ton. So it's kind of easier to go bigger, and then you can kind of supplement that with pilot systems.
Because
or
then
what have
getting
you.
a larger system later on is like way more expensive.
Then trying to
sell
shoehorn
your
it in
own
and
yeah.
But yeah, if I were opening up a brewery today, I'd probably it'd be a different model.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think when you started, that makes sense to start so large because you could be a regional brewery pretty easily,
right?
But nowadays, maybe not.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're very, very fortunate to have the shelf placement that we do.
Yeah, New Hampshire's pretty great
yeah.
too. You can sell in so many different locations.
Well, absolutely. But, the taproom model has really, really evolved and become a big thing. You see a lot of, some breweries who are now opening up satellite locations, which I think is kind of a way to kind of get into that. While maintaining their core, they can expand, but not have to, set up a second brewery. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
When you guys first opened, it was the 12-ounce 6-packs.
It was.
It still is, right? To a certain
Still is for our IPA
Yep.
and tie-dyed, our what we call our dry hop pale ale.
I miss the days of the $10 12
I
ounce
know,
6-packs.
right? Don't we all?
I don't think we'll ever go back to that. But what were some of the core beers that you opened with?
Lisa, you want to take this one?
Sure, why not? So we opened up with our creatively named IPA.
IPA, yeah.
Yes.
Good one.
Classic.
Yep. We opened with Smokin'.
Yes.
Which I think you tried earlier.
We did.
Matt?
Yep.
That was the beer that Rob won the Sam Adams Patriot contest with.
Oh,
I love
Or a version of.
Yeah.
It was-
yeah.
I love
yeah.
that smoked
Yeah.
beer's kind of making a renaissance right now.
It is, yeah.
And then our other core one at the time is our robust vanilla porter or RVP.
So we were basically these were favorites that we had brewed as homebrewers, and people would kind of clamor for whenever they would come over to our house. Particularly the RVP was always a fan favorite. But we knew an IPA had to be in our portfolio. That was kind of a no-brainer. And then Smokin' was also another one where it got some accolades and whatnot. But yeah, we were bold putting
Smoked beer in the market. Yeah.
Yeah.
Smoked beer is one of our core beers in a 12-ounce 6-pack.
Yeah.
So
I love that though.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
We love smoked beers, so.
And then I want to get into, you won a World Beer Cup
we did.
like 9 months after being open.
We did.
That's incredible.
It was pretty awesome.
Well, we also hope to win a World Beer Cup of podcasts, but we have to pay for our podcast with sponsorship. So
Stay tuned.
stay tuned. Take it away.
At our local homebrew shop, Beer and Wine Hobby, you can get everything you need to make beer, wine, cider, cheese, and more. Not sure where to start? They have knowledgeable staff there to help. Beer and Wine Hobby is family owned and located in Danvers, Massachusetts. Visit their website, beer-wine.com, and use our promo code BREWROOTS for 10% off your online order today.
Shirts on Tap is the box subscription service for craft beer lovers. Each month, Shirts on Tap partners up with 7 different breweries from across the country and collaborates on a sweet custom shirt design. We've been teamed up with Shirts on Tap since the inception of the podcast and are proud to announce a new promo code for all of our listeners. To get your first shirt for $5 off, go to the link in our description below and use the promo code. And remember, drink better beer, wear better shirts.
So we're back. It's kind of serendipitous, right? I used that twice today, I think. Coincidental?
Don't think so.
No?
No.
I don't know.
Actually, I think that's the first
I don't
time
know,
for me.
Erica. I don't know.
Just go with it. It's fine.
The World Cup is happening as we were in a couple weeks, whatever.
Yeah.
And you won a World Cup of beer.
We took
Dun, dun, dun.
we took the silver,
yeah.
silver in,
Yeah.
in IPA at the World Beer Cup back in 2016 when it was in Philadelphia. When we happened to be there, or myself, Brian, and John, who was our QA at the time, went down for that. So
What category?
American IPA at the time.
So you mean to tell me, is that a brewery in California? You beat breweries in Colorado, Portland, Oregon,
Around the world.
around the world.
Yeah.
One of the coolest moments was so after we won the award and ran up the stage and
Cried.
cried,
Yes.
and, like squealed like
Yes.
Like
young children.
Children. Yes.
And then actually Todd Mott from Tributary, was so cool, and he actually came backstage and met us and shook our hands.
That's awesome.
And then following that, I left the hall to go to a little boys' room, and I bumped into Mitch Steele from Stone, or he was at Stone
Stone at the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
He gave me a big hug, and he said, "Man, that was one of the coolest moments of all tonight." So
Yeah.
it's
That's awesome.
Like, oh my God, we
beat
took
you.
this over. like a brewer and
Yeah.
a brewery who we idolize,
Right.
and one of the classic examples of that style. So yeah, it was super special.
Yeah. Now this was before there was a hazy right, and all that stuff.
100%.
So it's
yeah.
So it's hard. I mean, in my opinion, that's harder to get an award for an IPA because those were all lumped together at that time.
It was
right?
the largest category.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
by far the
large.
largest.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was 265 entries.
Wow.
of
Can I
beer
do
in
judging that
American.
category?
I would just have a headache. I could just top burn headache. Yeah.
Palate fatigue.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
God, yeah.
Well, we were so John, Brian, and I were in the back of the hall during the award ceremony, and we were trying to cheer on the New England breweries.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, Night Shift won.
They got bronze,
They
right?
took bronze, yeah, and we went crazy for
Yeah,
them. And
yeah.
then they announced us, and then we
It's so
couldn't believe
That
it.
is so crazy.
It's so crazy. We think of this region as like the New England region, right? But it's like Boston beer scene. I mean, Massachusetts beer scene's awesome. New Hampshire beer scene's awesome. Maine, Vermont. It's like I know where
really heavy
I know where
big
it's still.
players.
Yeah.
I still know that New England's smaller than California is.
Right.
If you were to put it all together,
Right.
but it's like there's a lot of good beer coming out of this
There-
area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think New Hampshire, we talked about this at the last interview, so if you're hearing us repeat this, but it's no longer just a pathway to Vermont, a pathway to Maine. There's a lot of good beer coming out of this state.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
When you started, was the model really just, let's get into as many markets as possible?
It was never. We never had the idea of like world domination or
New Hampshire
or selling
yeah,
national.
yeah.
But for sure, like we mentioned earlier, we like the fact that our beer is accessible.
Yeah.
When I'm in New Hampshire, you can buy beer at the grocery store and gas stations, drugstore,
Right in,
wherever, which is cool. So we're not we. Don't get me wrong. We love our independent beer sellers, and we sell a lot of, especially our specialty releases there. But we also have a 12-pack of our IPA. We have a 12-pack of our tie-dyed. So those are more or less chain plays, and we're again fortunate. We started when we did, and putting beer in cans like right out of the gate. We never did bottles like bombers or 500 mils or anything like that. So it just made it very chain friendly, I guess, if you will, and also priced affordably.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Still to this day, I think priced affordably.
I like to think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe to the detriment of the business.
Well, what hurts is like everything is more expensive.
Yeah, you can't control the price of cans.
We used to buy cans for about 8 cents a can.
Yeah.
From a facility that was in Lawrence, Mass. So like 20 minutes
Oh,
from here.
yeah. Real close.
And now we're buying cans from Batesville, Mississippi.
Yeah, and you can't just drive
If we
down to
can even
Lawrence
get
to get them.
them.
Yeah.
Plus, diesel is a heck of a lot more expensive than it used to be. So
That 80 cents is long gone.
a long gone. Yeah. So,
But you're also competing with other individuals in the state of New Hampshire who kind of have the same idea. You have people like Henniker, right? Grocery store, let's get, same type of package, same type of price point, so you need to stay competitive with them as well.
yeah. Well, and folks like Henniker, 603, Stoneface, they started before us, and even before them, we've got Spunny Nose and Tuckerman.
Yeah.
But we're all friends.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Competition makes better beer, right?
Yes.
That wasn't sarcasm. I know that did sound sarcastic.
I know. Although, like, trust me, no.
At the end of the day, though, I mean, you're always going to have enough people who are buying everyone's beer, right? You know, everyone's a winner. You know, there's never going to be so much beer where the people aren't going to consume it. Right?
Yeah, I guess my bigger concern may be people who are not drinking beer anymore because they're drinking RTDs or seltzers or something else.
Yeah.
For sure, right now, that's
which
definitely a concern.
isn't something that we do.
Yeah, and they're just wrong. It's
beer.
okay.
Also, this is a great segue. You do have a 6% mead on tap right now, like a sessionable mead.
We do, yeah.
I hear it's good.
And you've made wine in the past, you say, right? So, like, is that something that you're looking to the future to do to kind of try and grasp some of that market?
Well, the way the mead came around actually was friends of ours, Jason and Margot Phelps, owned a meadery here in Manchester called Ancient Fire.
Also through Brew Free or Die.
Yes. That's where we met them.
I miss Ancient Fire. So,
yeah, we do too.
Yeah.
We
Good
always,
people. Yeah.
We always had a line of theirs on tap here in the brewery because we always found people coming in. Not everybody's a beer drinker.
Sure.
And that was a very popular line for us. So when they were going out of business, sadly, we bought a lot of their last batch of Cruising Elm was our most popular one that we served here. And when we were through that, we were like, well, what do we do now? And we had customers saying, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
So
we're getting it back.
Yeah. So we chatted with Jason, and he was happy to work with us and give us the recipe. And Rob worked on getting the licensing we needed to make the mead here and serve it here. So we're now on our third batch.
Cool.
People are very happy with it.
It's really good. I had a taster of it earlier. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we, based on our license type, we have to keep it to 6% ABV or less. When we had Cruising Elm, it was 7. So we kind of worked on a formula that would bring it down a little bit, and then kind of tweaked it. And I think on batch 3, we finally all the pieces came together.
I think so.
You're in stride.
It's so good.
but for me, again, it's yet even more sessionable, but it's got tons of flavor.
Yeah.
So we're really, really happy with it. And there's a couple other recipes I need to talk to Jason about. Tweaking going forward. But but yeah.
That's cool. So you're basically always going to have a line probably for mead.
Yes.
Of some kind going forward.
We don't use that word around here, though. Yeah. Well, we're trying to find a better word. Like hard honey. Is it a honey seltzer? Is it
something more marketable?
I just don't.
Mead kind of has that. I hate to say a negative connotation.
Well, no, it's not. But we don't. It's not Vikings and Renaissance fairs.
I was going to say it has a very specific look.
I thought
to
it was
it.
like Skyrim, the video game.
Trying to look for a little more modern, modern word. But we can say mead. Mead is fine. But
hard honey though, that sounds
acceptable.
A lot of the beers on your tap list right now are very sessionable.
Yeah.
You only have one that's above 7%, I think, right? Your double orbit.
No, we have the IPA,
couple.
which is 7, and then you got the double, which is 8.2.
Yeah, that's one. That's
we
above
have
7.
one coming out soon.
Yeah.
It's 10.
I love.
But
I love
even
the hell out of
nice, it's not all 10% milkshake IPAs, I guess. But it's not.
Yeah, so we have our Imperial Stout. We are releasing
Nice.
any day now, I think.
This week or next week?
This week or next
Awesome.
week.
Next week, yeah.
Which
In
is,
here, I think you'll be able to find it out and about.
Yeah, it's called Black Bear. Cool. This year's version clocked in at 10.7,
Nice.
so
Awesome.
it's up there. But
Yeah.
we like to make just flavorful, tasty beers, and also I personally, I'd rather a lower ABV
Same.
beer, so I can function the next day. And
Yeah. I was going to say, is it kind of consumer driven? I just feel like Manchester being where we are, I feel like they kind of gravitate towards maybe a sessionable beer.
Yeah, I think also like for stuff that's on premise, I think people are a little more aware of that, and just kind of curb the excessive drinking.
Sure, yeah.
But it doesn't really, like, the ABV doesn't it's not a huge factor in terms of what drives us, unless we're trying to come up with something sort of new and somewhat innovative.
Gotcha.
Like we've got our local. We have a local IPA. We have a local Pilsner. Those are some R&D batches that we did, and we wanted to brew those really to get some customer feedback. And the local IPA, as far as
so how did that go?
Is delicious.
Cool. Yeah. So it's like it's low calorie. It's more like the 100 calorie better for you beer.
Around 110.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's, but
It's healthy beer.
It's still flavorful, still good. People like it.
100%. Oh,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I know what I'm.
It's definitely a new thing. I just am curious about it, So it's interesting to see more of that popping up.
Yeah. Of course. Then, can I talk about the double IPA? Am I allowed to talk about that?
I don't know.
Ooh.
Brian, am I allowed to talk about the? Okay, I can talk about. All right. So.
Breaking news.
Breaking
We brought it to you first.
We are so next. Well, I'll just say. So yeah, next week we are brewing a batch of what we call Grateful North, which is a 9.1% double IPA. It's kind of loosely based on the chassis of Tie-Dyed, except amped up with more hops, more malt, and more.
Everything.
More everything.
And when he says next week, he means the week of Thanksgiving.
Yes.
For all you people in the future.
So to be brewed then, and then that'll be available for sale about 3 weeks after that.
So perfect winter beer.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Probably be released by the time this episode.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, probably will.
Perfect.
So.
But
I love when that works out.
Yeah.
I like to think we've got a pretty eclectic chalkboard.
You do.
Yeah,
going on
yeah,
right now,
for
from
sure. You have a
coconut
nice
stout
variety.
to Marzen to a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We like to think that anyone that comes in here, we should be able to find something that they will like.
for sure. And I think you can. You have the lager, crispy boy. You have kind of the milkshake, crazy thing with the coconut, and you have the IPAs, and you have definitely something for everyone. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
During the summer, we saw a ton of NA beer. Did you ever dip your toe in the NA, or is that in the future?
Something of that ilk maybe in the future. One of the challenges is how to make it NA
And taste good.
or how to go about it.
Yeah.
So whether you use some sort of like a filtration system or distillation or use a really low alcohol producing yeast.
Yeah.
There's a couple different paths, and making it taste good and making it shelf stable. So there are some challenges, but in fact the call I was on that kind of delayed me from coming here was kind of about that. So
cool.
So yeah, so
Very cool.
it's something we've got on the horizon that we are working on, but nothing to release just yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
I love what you're doing here. You're centrifuging beer.
Sure.
You're talking about hop selection, right? You do hop selection.
We did, yeah. In fact, this year was the first year we actually made the
Did it in
trek.
person.
Made the trek to Yakima. The past couple of years, we did it. The hop vendors were good enough to send us hops, and then we did it here in Manchester. But there's some of them are saying it's no, we really want you to come out and or
Experience it.
or we'll send you pellets, but they're not going to do the brewer's cut anymore.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to actually go and see the farms and the folks who are doing all the work this time of year. Well, it's
over now.
It's over. Yeah, it's amazing, and it happens in a
So
very,
fast.
very, very short window because all that kilning and baling has to happen in a really, really short window.
Picking
and you've got thousands of acres of hops that all need to be that are all harvested within 5 or 6 weeks of each other.
Crazy.
And then that equipment just sits idle for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. What's some other stuff that you're doing to ensure that your beer has a longer shelf life, B, consistency, and C, just overall good taste?
Yeah, so we're always looking at. I think hop selection is a real crucial part of it. We are actively looking at different type of hop products instead of just your typical T90 pellets. There's some whether it's like a cryo hop or some liquid hop products that could help lower the vegetal load and in some cases actually help prolong shelf life and reduce oxidation. Like you mentioned, we do have our centrifuge that we run pretty much every single beer, including our our hazy IPAs. We're able to get that haze to form it as a permanent haze, so you don't get that yeast burn or that hop bite, which we think is a good thing not to have in a beer. So from day one, in fact, our very first hire here was our QA lead at the time, and we've continued that since. So it's a really important part of what we do. We do sensory with our staff. We try to do it on a weekly basis. Something we want to keep doing more and more and more. And just not resting on our laurels and trying to constantly brew the best beer possible. One of the cool things about our hazy rotation brand is it does give us an opportunity to mix up the hops and try new hop varieties every single time. In fact, the current batch of hazy, which sold out a little more quickly than we expected.
Good problem to have.
In fact, it's not on the menu, is it?
Hazy rotation?
Yes, we still have it on draft.
Oh, we do have it on draft? Okay.
We're out of cans.
Out of cans.
Oh, yeah.
We're
Holy shit.
on our last keg, I think. That was with a couple new varieties to us, one of which doesn't even have a formal name yet, so it's still an experimental variety.
Cool.
That's really cool.
So,
Nice.
but yeah, and working with the hop producers to say, hey man, we've really had good success with this. Maybe give it a shot.
Yeah.
So whether we do it on our big system or we can do some really fun stuff on our 2.5 barrel pilot system out back.
Yep.
So,
All right. So we have to keep the lights on. And Ryan was giving me the hairy eye, and I got scared. So
Me too.
take it away, song guy Ryan. Don't kill me.
Are you a solo artist, band, podcaster, or anyone else who needs recording services?
Well, we got a place for you where your vision can become a reality.
Welcome to Small Pond Studios, built by hand with heart and sweat equity by musicians for musicians.
Go to smallpondstudios.io to reach out to get more information. And make sure you let them know that Brew sent you. Hey, Sound Guy Ryan here. Didn't know if you heard, but we're a part of the Hopped Up Network. There you'll find other informative podcasts about beer. So go ahead, follow them on social media, and visit them on their website, hoppedupnetwork.com, to learn more about the people, beer, and breweries from around the country. And until next time, thanks for listening. Cheers.
Centrifuge.
Centrifuge.
Yeah.
Sure.
The fuge of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've mentioned this a few times this episode. Can we explain it for those who don't know what that is?
sure.
What is it?
So it is a big machine that we pump our beer through, and the beer goes into a spinning set of discs that basically works as like a big filter, and it throws the stuff out to the sides that we don't want and lets the much more clear beer continue on through from fermenter to our bright tank, where we then carbonate it and then eventually package it.
So it's a filter of sorts?
It works sort of as a filter, but the nice thing about it doesn't strip out the aroma and flavor that a typical filter would.
So it's not going through a filter per se. It's
going through a process.
kind of.
Exactly.
Putting like the solid matter
Gotcha.
on
Exactly.
the sides. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Which also
Well,
creates a much stable shelf life.
It does a very, very good job of especially spinning out the yeast.
Yeah.
The yeast
Okay.
that may still be in the beer. Any hops and
It clears it up.
protein
Yeah.
helps clear it up, and that way we can turn our tanks much more quickly than we could otherwise. In fact, we generally don't do this. We generally will centrifuge on say a Monday and then package that beer on Tuesday.
Oh wow.
If we have to because of a delivery or something like that, we can actually centrifuge, carbonate, and package all in one day. But it makes for a bit of a late day based on the
for
speed of
sure.
our.
There's not 36 hours in a day.
I know. Yeah. Well, it depends on the size of the tank also.
Yeah.
So whether
Yeah.
we're doing a 20 or 40 or an 80 barrel or even a 60 barrel batch.
Yeah.
So it just depends. But
Cool.
the canning line we're currently running now is sort of the bottleneck of the whole operation. But we are we're working on upgrading a canning line
Ooh,
also. So
nice.
Stay tuned.
yeah, so we've been
Very cool.
kind of working with a local engineer for the past few years. Well, we've basically let him kind of camp out here while he's been working on his machine.
Yeah.
And we've been running a prototype version of that machine for the past
Cool.
week or so, and which is a counterflow, counter pressure design.
Okay. Yeah.
Rotary filler versus an atmospheric filled. So the cans are actually filled under pressure, which helps further reduce dissolved oxygen levels.
Sure.
We can even, if we wanted to, we could can at a higher level of carbonation than we could with the inline filler. So the
All good things, yeah.
all positive things. So the idea is once we get all the kinks ironed out of that machine, then we can look to have them build us a machine that will be the same footprint but can operate twice as fast.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
People are so smart. Like, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
isn't that crazy, right?
I find that stuff fascinating.
Yeah.
You know?
Ingenuity. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah. Who would have thought it?
So
All right, I have more.
Erica, you don't have to announce what
Thank
you
you.
have.
I'm just saying. I just get excited when I have questions.
Yeah.
You know? So going further back in time here, Homebrew Club. You know how helpful. It sounds like you mentioned a bunch of times. I feel like that was really helpful, maybe in your whole process of opening and just brewing in general.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you recommend it?
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely critical.
Okay.
Absolutely
I
critical.
thought he was
From-
crazy at first.
Yeah, I'm sure, right?
You're like, you're just going to this man convention. Yeah.
Like I'm going to a homebrew club meeting at some person's house. I don't know. I'm like, okay.
Hopefully I see you again.
Yeah, right.
No, from again, having a group of brewers who will give you honest feedback. To provide that motivation to put beers in competition, and now
Sure.
get blind feedback.
Yeah.
Is crucial. To take advantages of the resources that the club has, whether that's equipment or being able to do like sharing equipment or special buys.
Yeah.
And just being absorbed in the community.
Brewing together.
Brewing together.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
How many of those members are now brewery owners?
There's probably at least I know at least a dozen who are professional brewers.
Wow. That's cool.
Brewery owners.
Are you professional brewer? Yeah. In the industry.
And there's a handful who are owners, like ourselves. So,
That's awesome.
But it's one of those like, I think it's $20 a year for annual membership to cover, like the website hosting,
Yeah.
Right.
the holiday party,
Yeah.
So if you're a home brewer and you're really into the hobby,
Definitely
and want to meet some people,
It's a fun way to meet
it's
people.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Whether
Yeah.
it's Brew for or Die or whatever your local club is, couldn't recommend it any more strongly.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then competitions. Was that, I mean, you talked about blind judging and all of that,
Sure.
but do you wish more people were getting into doing competitions before they actually open a brewery?
Can't hurt. Well, because in all honesty, like your friends and family are
Free beer's the best beer.
Sure.
Right.
And A, they may not be trained as a beer judge, and B, they may not want to tell you that your beer needs work or know how to tell you what needs work or how to fix it, which is one of the really nice things about when you get a properly filled out BJCP score sheet. It should identify if it doesn't get a 50, which is a perfect score. It should tell you why it didn't get a 50, and then some suggestions for how to fix it.
Yeah.
So and your odds are you're not going to get that feedback from friends and family. So it's very, very, very helpful. Even quite honestly, the feedback that we get from professional competitions like the World Beer Cup or GABF are pretty high level. Like they'll tell you if the beer went on to the final round or advanced with some very, very minimal feedback. Now again, I know these are competitions designed for professionals, so these are professionals who presumably know how to brew as it is, unlike an amateur competition where we're talking amateurs, where the feedback is really, really crucial. But so hopefully with COVID more or less behind us, we'll start seeing more competitions again.
Hopefully.
And
Yeah.
Awesome.
If you were to describe the New Hampshire beer scene, both of you, in a few words, how would you describe it?
That's
Yes, I love stumping people. That's what I live for. No, I'm
underrated.
very much so.
We're sandwiched between certainly Maine and Vermont, who are at least per capita have got they're constantly like way up there in number
They're
of
huge,
breweries
yeah.
per capita. And you've got some of the best breweries in the country, Mass included too. But and who have been around for a while and doing great things. Like, we talked about Allagash earlier, like they're icons. And they make, super high quality stuff, and, they deserve every accolade they get. But yeah, I think, whether it's, the perception that, it's like, oh, well, we have to drive through New Hampshire to get to Maine or Massachusetts,
Yeah.
I think is a little bit unfair. And the beer scene has certainly come a long way with some great brewers who have started, and even legacy brewers who have been doing their thing all along.
That's for sure.
That maybe don't get the spotlight that they deserve.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
yeah.
Lisa, what about you?
It's tough. I don't know what I would say. I do agree with Rob. There's a lot of variety as well. So whether you're talking size of a brewery, styles, so
Yeah.
I'd say variety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like New Hampshire also has a lot of very, very, very small breweries,
Yes.
and that started out, I think,
Yeah.
as a result of the introduction of a nanobrewery license type,
Yep.
Which kind of opened it up to a lot of folks to get into it with pretty minimal investment.
Yeah. I think of like Outhouse Ales. Like
Sure.
Super small. Yeah.
Sure. We just jumped right in, as we mentioned earlier, with the 20 barrel system and blah, 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 and a full-time QA and et cetera. But, it's just a different business model that we had in mind. But, there's
Cool.
breweries everywhere, something for everyone.
Yeah.
My turn.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
Ryan, what do
My
you
turn.
got?
So, this might, I don't know how you feel about this question, but it's kind of a two-parter. All right.
Oh, jeez.
So you mentioned that you want your beer accessible, right? Now, do you ever feel that because it's accessible, if you see a beer in a gas station, in a Walgreens, that, well, because we have a large population of people who drink beer, right? They're educated idiots. They don't know any better. They see that beer in a Walgreens. They see that beer in a Cumbies. They automatically think it's no good. I've never had it, but it's no good, right? Why is it there? I want to go to a craft beer store. Do you ever think that or see that at all?
I don't. No one's ever said it to me.
What a jerk. Wow, you're such a jerk, Ryan.
Ryan.
No, it's a good question.
No, I know. I like, but at this.
Because I know people like that. They're like, I ain't going to buy that. It's at fucking Walgreens. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know, but like for us to say to a Walgreens or a Cumbies, oh no, you can't. By the way, you're not allowed to do that. So if a Cumbies or a Walgreens wanted to buy a beer from a distributor, they're legally
They have to
sell it.
Yeah.
Period.
You really don't have any control over it.
No, like we there are like allocations and whatnot.
Yeah.
But when you get to a certain volume, it's like, well, we're not going to allocate 30,000.
We have to sell your beer.
30,000
wherever it
cases.
sells.
So no, it's accessible. But I think what they want to know is, oh well, if we're going to put this in the shelves, can we get it year round? Is it going to be consistent? Is it going to be shelf stable?
Yeah.
Which are all positive things. And then we again, we do plenty of other beers. The majority of the beers we make, in terms of varieties, are not sold in mega marts or gas stations.
Yeah.
They're sold in independents. I think it's it's a balance.
Yeah. So how do you sell? Like, what's your sales pitch to those independent stores? Because again, it's so accessible. There's a lot of those idiots out there. Like, oh, it's in this place. It must not be good. So how do you convince some of the people who've never had your beer to sell it?
Or try it, I guess.
or try it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a couple of sales guys who, pound the pavement, like all week long, and they're selling beer to on-premise accounts and off-premise accounts, and we have plenty of smaller beer shops that want to carry something like our IPA or our Moose Juice IPA or tie-dyed or our vanilla porter, all of which are available in bigger chains.
Excellent.
But if they feel that the beer quality's there, the flavor's there, the price is right, this is something that could appeal to the customers that they're serving, then why not? And by the way, we also have 8 other beers that
Right.
come out on a rolling schedule, but they can slot in different formats and price points. So we try to do something for everyone.
Not to try to answer that question for you, but you have Nashua, you have Concord, you have Portsmouth, you have Manchester. Those are the 4 big cities in New Hampshire, right? I mean,
sure.
And then you have a lot of small towns where Cumberland Farms might be the only place to get exposure to that beer. And let's face it, when you go to those Cumberland Farms, it might be 603, it might be Great North, Budweiser, Bud Light. It's a good It's a good place to be, in my opinion. Yeah.
Or
and you can't get beer somewhere else or the same variety.
Yeah, or again, if you're in a small town that just doesn't happen to have a specialty beer store. So
right.
I'd actually be curious to see how many specialty beer stores have grown in New Hampshire in the last 7 years.
I would actually be curious about
we've
that
been doing
number.
our thing. In fact, before we started, in fact, but here's another name for brew for your die. Bert Binkle started Bert's Better Beers around 2010, I think, and one of the first really big, fully stocked specialty beer stores carrying no macro whatsoever, and we've been in Bert's ever since.
Cool. So, what's next for you, other than a cool canning line, state-of-the-art canning line? Because I think a lot of times people, that's great for you, but the consumer never knows. Like, you have a great canning line.
Yeah, we're so 2022 has been kind of it's been a challenging year of buckling down and dealing with cost pressures, whether it's freight or aluminum or malt or
everything.
So I'm looking to turn the page on 2022.
Yeah, right.
Get through it. But yeah, in the meantime, we're kind of looking to the future and seeing what new products we can develop in house and make them in a way that we'll be proud of them. We're not just looking to follow the latest trend. We're trying to put a little bit more focus, I feel, these days on innovation and trying new things. And it's great that we can actually have people back in our tap room on a regular basis to get some feedback and to make some stuff on our smaller system
for sure
for those releases only. I guess in the past, really like 6 months or so, we've actually been doing some canning off of our pilot system too. So
that's cool.
So we'll do very small limited releases, but it helps get some of that product out there, and those are taproom releases only.
Yeah.
So,
nice.
We're gonna look at keeping our costs manageable. We're gonna look at doing some new fun products. We try not to rest on our laurels, even with some of our legacy brands. We're looking at different package types coming up. So 2023 should be a really, really cool, fun, interesting year for Great North.
We're excited to experience that with you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much for doing this today.
Yeah, you're most welcome.
We want our listeners to come to the tap room.
Please.
So where are you physically located?
We are located in Manchester, 1050 Holt Avenue, Unit 14. With the unit down at the very end as you come in, go past the bingo.
I love bingo. I
Or
have to
stop
say,
at bingo, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I might come
good luck
up.
getting in.
Oh my God, I know. I played bingo at Eagle Bingo in Nashua. Oh my God, I did win $450 last weekend. So
congrats.
yeah. $4.99 or above, you have to claim it.
Yeah.
So.
And we're open here Thursday through Sunday. Thursdays, Fridays, we're here 3 to 7. Saturdays, we're here 1 till 7. live music every Saturday,
Cool.
and then on Sundays 1 to 5.
Wow, you get out right
Awesome.
before the bingo crowd.
Yes.
Yeah, we're in the kind of the east side of Manchester, but as you're coming up I-93, it's exit 6.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
easy to get
It
to.
is really
The
easy.
Candia Road exit,
Yep.
and then we're a half mile down East Industrial Park Drive.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're just off I-93.
Yeah, which is perfect for our Massachusetts listeners.
100% on the,
Yeah.
on the
Easy
way on the
peasy.
way up to ski country.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Stop
Take a
off,
break,
Take a break.
Yeah.
Take a load off.
grab some beer to go, grab some beer here.
Have a pretzel. Have a
Yeah.
have a low-cal IPA, and then be on your way.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I love it.
Excellent.
Cool.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.
Yeah. See you next time.
Cheers.